decorator. And you are correct. This is not my wood chopping shop. In fact, I'm on location. This happens to be an interior decorator store, and this was the fireplace mantle that I built for them. Now, this mantle is actually very easy peasy Japanesey to build, and I'm going to show you how. So we're going to build our fireplace out of MDF and what they call 1/4-inch hardboard. Now, you've probably heard me say before, I hate working with MDF.
Yes?
You have to be very careful with working with MDF as well, because with MDF, it's not actually wood. It's kind of like sawdust and chemicals, and they mash it all together. And the problem with MDF is there's actually formaldehyde in this when they make it. So when you cut it, it's best to wear a mask, because it's even finer than sawdust, and well, you know, you get all kinds of crusty boogers and stuff if you don't wear the mask. But before we start any usage of our power tools, let's take a little tip from Safety Dan.
Hey, make sure you always use your hearing protection and safety glasses.
And
shoes.
The hearth was the first thing I made, because everything from this point I'm going to put on there and I'll build upwards. Well, the top of this happens to be 14 inches deep and 62 inches long, just a tad over 5 foot long.
5.
It's put together with pocket screws, which I'll show you in a minute, and the top I put a round over on using my big old beefy router with a 1/2-inch radius roundover bit. Okay, well, let's flip it over. I'll show you the bottom, how it's easily constructed, and I'll put on the last piece, the back piece here, to show you. This is the bottom inside of our hearth. Now, as you can see, these holes drilled from where we put the pocket screw in. The pocket screw comes with a jig and this special drill bit that allows me to bore the hole, and then you use a flathead screw to go in there, and it secures it pretty good. The only downside to pocket screws is you have these unsightly holes. That's why you wouldn't want anything on the outside of your furniture piece. This is the pocket screw jig. This is the nicer of the two styles they have. I'll show you the other style in a second. Hang on. You just put your piece in here and clamp it down. There's settings for the depth and size screw that you want, and that comes with your your directions. And then you just simply drill down through it. It has a guide and a stop.
It's a non-stop party
on the drill bit. And once you take it out, it leaves you that bored hole. Yes! Okay, here's the other more affordable, or should I say cheaper version of that pocket hole jig that we saw before. And this is just a singular one, and so you'll put your piece on there and clamp it down, and then we'll drill. And it makes our hole. The disadvantage to this is it's much slower, and we have to clamp it up each time for every hole, but you know, it is better on the pocketbook. To dress up the hearth a little bit, I added a little bit of molding and quarter round around it. They'll just give it a more solid look at the base of the fireplace. Oh, hey, hi, just making a little lunch in the shop. Well, what we got so far is I've got the box made for what's going to hold our electric fireplace insert, okay? And I made this box out of a stick and cope method. And also, too, I chose to go with a flat panel inside of these stick and copes. You could use like a raised panel and put it in there, but I chose for the flat. You can check out how to make a raised panel on one of my other videos. But for now, let me show you how to use the stick and cope. See how nice this goes together? You have this nice little cove bead detail that goes around, gives it kind of that framed in look.
Yes.
Well, this is done with what they call a stick and cope router blade set. And if I pull this apart, you can see we have a groove and then like a male piece that fits in. It kind of locks it all together. Here you can see the diagram that came with the stick and cope router set. One will make the male end, and the other bit will make the female end, of which the two then, will go together. Now, if you don't have one of these stick and cope router bit sets, I'll show you another way of doing it at the end of the video, which will give you the same, very similar look. However, I'll tell you right now that the router bit set, although it might be a little pricey, will save you a lot of time than the other way. I've constructed the columns right after I did the box. And the columns were put together the same way. I used the stick and cope router set, and then I pocket screwed the side pieces on, and then I screwed it to the box. Now, I don't have enough height here in my shop, so I'm going to have to move the next step outside. But we're going to put a back on this, which will just be another sheet of MDF, and we'll do some crown molding, which I'll show you what that looks like. Well, here it is outside, and I got my crown molding put on. I'll tell you what, let's go up there and take a closer look. Well, here we are. Now, the crown molding is a nice touch, but I'll tell you what, it's a little tricky, so I'm going to show that to you in another video. But for now, let's enjoy how it looks. Well, I disassembled it, and now it's back in the shop painting, as you can clearly see. Now, when it comes to painting, I first primed it, and then I lightly sanded it, especially where the end grain would be on that, because it tends to raise it, make it a little bit fuzzy because of the water in the paint. So then you just lightly sand that off, not too much, don't take that primer off. And then I'll put 2, maybe even 3 coats of paint on this with light sandings in between each coat. And one more thing, make sure you, change your clothes. And what? Mess up my beautiful green t-shirt? Well, I did tell you earlier that I was going to show you an alternative method for making your panels other than using the stick and cope router bit on the router table. Well, this is what it is. We're starting off with our stiles and rails that we've put together with just the pocket hole screws. And well, next we're going to apply a panel to the back. You're just going to merely glue and nail that panel on there. Now, I'm going to put some quarter round or shoe mold trim in this case around on the inside. We'll miter that out. I'll show you that next. So once I cut all 4 of my pieces, mitered them out, fit them in, not too shabby. Looks pretty close to what we had. And there it is, your alternative method for making your panels for your fireplace. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take one more last look at the completed unit back at the store. Well, there you have it. And now you too can have a beautiful fireplace mantle. And of course, like always, my favorite time of the day, I like to dance.
Woodshoppertime.com!